Inventory is rising fast here in San Antonio. Buyers are starting to hesitate, and nationally, the housing market just missed expectations in a pretty big way. According to CNBC, analysts expected home sales to jump more than 3% in April. Instead, they barely moved up just 0.2%. And at the same time, mortgage rates jumped sharply during the same month, and that's starting to impact buyer behavior across the country. But here's what's interesting. Even with all of that going on nationally, San Antonio is telling a slightly different story. And depending on whether you're buying or selling, this could either be an opportunity or a warning sign. Let's break it down. Because when you actually look at the numbers here locally, there are a few shifts happening that most people aren't paying attention to. Right now, the San Antonio market here, looking back into April, we're in May. It's May 12th today, and looking back into April 2026, we have shifted further into a balanced market, even closer to a buyer's market by 6.11% month over month. Now, the good news for sellers is we're still seeing the home sellers get about 98.6% of their list price. So it's almost a full price offer that they're seeing. Now, that doesn't include any of the negotiating points like closing cost assistance or buy down points, which everyone should be considering at this point in the market based on what we're seeing. This is where builders are making their numbers up. They're getting those discount points out there to buyers. Buyers are reacting and purchasing those homes. So if you have a home, it's not moving, consider putting discount points in there instead of lowering the price. It may take some price adjustments, but also adding those discount points in there helps as well. The median sold price right now, we're looking at $284,295. That is down 3.6% month over month. When we look at newly listed homes in the San Antonio area, fresh on the market, the typical price is $315,000. That's up 5%. No surprise there. We are in the spring selling season, so some of the more expensive homes usually hit the market. And the number of properties really flat, up 0.3%, 3,245 newly listed homes in the month of April. And that stayed flat since March, April there. You can see there, it looks like it's just flat. So really no change in the number of new listings hitting the market. Just below our peak in May of 3,300 newly listed homes. The active listings, this is where the majority of the market pain is. These homes have not sold. They're still on the market after at least 57 days. That's the typical days on the market. The number of homes, active listings, 9,113 with a median list price of $300,000. That is up 5%. So we have 5% more active listings this month than we had last month, and that is higher. Let's go back to we're looking at April 2026 and April 2027. Yep, we were at 8,777,000 active listings, so we are above the active listings this time last year. We'll see what that looks like going through the summer if we continue to rise in active listings and eclipse last year's active listings. New pending listings. This is our leading indicator right now that we want to pay attention to. This is the most important piece here. $294,990. That's down 1.7% month over month. And 1,773 properties in new pending status. So they've finished their inspections, they're done negotiating, they're just waiting for the closing date to come around. That is down almost 10% for the month of April. So you can attribute that to the higher interest rates. Everyone that was waiting for a lower interest rate, and it didn't happen, and it looks like it may not happen anytime soon in this year. It could be later next year that we see lower rates. So keep an eye on that. New pending listings showing us that April, the buyers were not reacting to interest rates in April. At least the late buyers in April decided no. We're going to pause. We're going to see what happens with gas prices, all that other economic news they're looking at. Days on the market, 43 days, 12.2% month over month, $156 a square foot for new pending listings. Leftover pending listings, and you can see this sells a different story here. Those were up to 309,000. 2,362 properties were in pending status. So these are left over from the lower interest rates we saw a couple of months ago, and they're still waiting to close, but they're still locked in at a lower interest rate. And then sold listings. We saw in April, median sold price for homes in San Antonio, $284,295 for a grand total of 1,643 sold listings. That was up 6% month over month. We'll see how all those pending listings affect this next month in May's numbers. And then finally, supply. Again, another snapshot of supply, 5.56 months worth of supply right now. We're up 6.1% month over month, and for the year, 12.3% year over year increase in supply. So plenty of homes to choose from. If you're a buyer right now, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to wait. This is a really good time actually to make deals. You have a lot of motivated sellers out there. Some of them are raising their hand. Others have not raised their hand. They're just waiting for an offer. And if you're a seller, now's the time to stand out and start pre-negotiating some of those things that the buyers are doing. Go to the builders and see what they're advertising and mirror that in your listing so that you can attract the most buyers right now. So when you step back and look at everything happening right now, this market isn't crashing, but it's definitely changing. We're moving out of that fast-paced seller's market and into something that requires a lot more strategy. If you're a buyer, you may finally have more room to negotiate. And if you're a seller, pricing and positioning your home correctly matters more than it has in years. So if you're thinking about making a move, whether that's buying, selling, or just trying to understand what your home might be worth in today's market, I put together a quick way for you to check that out. Head over to homevaluetexas.net. homevaluetexas.net. I put together a quick way for you to check that out. Head over to homevaluetexas.net. There's no obligation, just a way to see where you stand in the market that's shifting pretty quickly. And if you have questions after that, feel free to reach out. I'll see you on the next update.